everyone, and welcome to the fourth episode of the DEA Tech Tuesday, where we discuss technology and innovation related to digital money. If you like this format, please like and share it with your network, and be sure to subscribe to our channel to receive our contents. I'd like to start by thanking our supporting members and say that at the end of this episode, we will have time for questions from the audience, and we use Slido to collect them. So please, you can scan this QR code. I will also post this information on the YouTube chat. I'm here today with my colleague Valentin, who will introduce our guests.
Thank you very much, Tamara, and a warm welcome to all our listeners and viewers. Great to be here at the Techie Tuesday, and it's a pleasure and honor to be joined by Johannes and Armin from the Austrian National Bank. This is a very high-stake guest, and as I learned in the pre-discussions, it's a very interesting topic because we will talk about what a national bank has to do with NFTs and the metaverse, and how central banks can lead an innovation lab, which is very exciting for me. Johannes Duong, we have two academics from Vienna. One is a computer scientist, one is a lawyer. Johannes Duong is the computer scientist, and Armin Ahari is the lawyer. And I would kindly ask you to briefly introduce yourself and what excites you about working at the Austrian National Bank at this project. Welcome.
Thank you. Johannes Duong, my name, and my background is computer scientist and also working in the Treasury Department for security settlement, cash management, and also the settlement of monetary policy. And the interesting thing is in OeNB is that we have in the recent years a lot to do with the innovation topics, and we have also created an innovation lab, which I will talk more about it later on. And yes, it's quite interesting that with our research projects with my colleagues. Armin.
Thank you, Johannes. So my name is Armin. I'm working as a legal counsel in the Austrian National Bank. So as you can imagine, I'm like an in-house lawyer for the Austrian National Bank, and that's really exciting. I have very diverse topics. If it's about sometimes it's about cash, sometimes it's about really interesting topics in the supervisory law, and on the other side, I have also the pleasure of working with Johannes on different innovation topics. And for me as a lawyer, usually we say the lawyers are the party crashers. I like to organize the party here, and that's what we do together. And I think for me as a lawyer, working with Johannes, I think the most interesting part is, except of course exceptional person Johannes, is that I get a lot of insight about digitalization, the technique, the programming, and usually we lawyers, we like to talk what can be possible in the digital world. But now I see it firsthand how Johannes can program anything. And on the other side, I do like a legal analysis on that. And because of this insight, because of this close working together, I think I get a good insight to really do a proper legal analysis here.
Great, thank you very much for your introduction. And for us as the Digital Euro Association, it's very obvious that the intersection of legal and tech is where the development and the innovation happens. So again, it's exciting to have you as a guest here, and maybe we just dive directly into the topic and your presentation and get this exclusive insight about what the and also maybe as a info for our non-German speakers, OeNB, I think it is, right? It's the Österreichische Nationalbank, so it's the Austrian National Bank. Yes.
Yeah, and the other one is the National Library, the Nationalbibliothek.
So we are very British in that sense, or English friendly. We have the OeNB, so that's at least good for non German-speaking people, but on the other side, we call ourselves OeNB. So don't get confused.
I think the confusion is done. So what is the OeNB doing? What did you bring for us today?
Yeah. Okay, then I will jump into our presentation. So can you see my slide here? So the project Citadel is one of our research project with blockchain technology and Metaverse. And how are we organized? I think it's maybe too small, but I will go through it. So we have 4 big divisions in our national bank, and Armin and we are located in the 4th division of the Director Steiner. And yes, and these are our departments located there. So I mentioned before, we have an innovation lab in our house recent years, and this is something that is quite really helpful for us, that the innovation lab is created by the IT department, and in the innovation lab is open for all departments, and then you can hand in your idea, with innovation idea, and there is a group of specialists, internal specialists, and they will make a criteria and which project is interesting, which project is less interesting. So, and then after that, there is a circle. Then there is a time slot of 3 to 6 months for the prototyping phase, and after that, they will present the results or what we have created so far. And then the next step is, do we still continue following that topic, or we better close the topic, and what are the lessons learned? Yeah. And the most important thing of the innovation lab is also on our research project is building our knowledge and learn how to deal with the new technology and to make a good and neutral judgment. What is the technology behind, and what could be the potential use cases? Yeah, and Project Citadel is here. You can see we have 2 sub cases. The first case is we use the relief, the entrance of the OeNB as a NFT, and the second one is the derived one, to check out whether the NFT derived NFT works as collateral. And the third step is we put all together in a metaverse, in just making a small gallery to find out what could be more potential use cases. Because when we are looking at the market, so many people say, okay, NFT goes with metaverse hand in hand. So that's why we put everything together and see, okay, what are the potential use cases for us, and what could we learn? What are the lessons learned finally? Good. And the architecture is for the NFT. I think everyone who works with smart contract deployment, he knows how to create an NFT from scratch. So we don't use any other third-party platform. Our goal is to do everything from scratch by ourselves. Also from smart contract beginning, running the blockchain for the local blockchain for checking before we publish it on a test blockchain, and also the IPFS node for decentralized storage. I will go to detail later on. And here are 3 steps for the architecture. What we did is we store the picture, and via IPFS, decentralized or local, it depends. And then we created a JSON file for the metadata containing the link to the IPFS picture. And this one will also stored via IPFS decentralized. And the link to this JSON file will be stored in the blockchain via our ERC 721 contract. Now I will go to the legal part.
So for me, it was quite interesting to see how you can mint an NFT, and I have to admit, I thought it's really complicated because in the time when we began in, I think, February 2022, there was quite a hype around NFTs, and there were NFTs sold by $70 million US, and I thought, okay, that's really really hard technology, but as you will see later on, Johannes is a magician in this sense, because after 15 minutes, there was the NFT was done for me at least. So the legal analysis was then the second step in our project, and for us the most important part was, how can I transfer an NFT? And on the one side we have the smart contract universe, and of course it's smart contract, and you think, okay, it's a legally contract in that, but in fact it's a condition. So if you transfer a cryptocurrency, then this leads to an automatic transfer of the NFT into your wallet, and that's the thing about a smart contract. You can make an extra contract, but the smart contract in that sense is a condition, and you get you pay a cryptocurrency, and after that you get a NFT in your wallet. It's like a little bit like a fiduciary. That's I think the interesting part. And we have two kind of NFTs that we identified. The first one is we call it the original NFT, and the other one is the derived NFT. If we talk about the original NFT, this NFT is purely digital. We also saw it in different platforms like in OpenSea, where we only have like a digital good, and this NFT is in a legal sense incorporeal and arguably not a movable thing. And then on the other side, and that's what we see with a lot of technology, that we have like the old world and the new world, and everything. Everybody tries to do one thing. Everybody tries to put the old world in the new world. So that's what we see with derived NFTs. So derived NFTs is if we have like a painting, and we try to put this painting on the blockchain into the blockchain universe. So that makes that makes a lot of sense if we talk. If we would have like a book, like also we have a book of immovable things, like if you have like a house, for example, it's in a register. So in this register you have your house, but that's not the case with movable things, and that's also the case for like paintings, for example. So what everybody tries is to put the painting on the blockchain, to make it more to get more to make it more practical. So for example, you put the painting on the NFT to sell and buy it much faster than beforehand, because if you have like only the painting, you have to move the painting to the next buyer and on and on. So that's like there are a lot of costs, and of course a lot of risk, maybe that you destroy the painting and that you have like costs of transporting this painting. So that's why a lot of people think, okay, we could make like a derived NFT. So we have the painting and we put this painting or the right to the painting on the blockchain. But in a legal sense, that's not that easy, because this mode, we call it the mode of moving something in property law or even in collateral law, that's like the legal challenge. And in Austria, also in Germany, it's not that easy to transfer something just by a sign. And the blockchain, that would just be a sign. But actually, if we look in our civil law code in Austria, you cannot like transfer this painting only by like an NFT or a blockchain. You have to move it to the other place, and that's something we looked at, and we tried to come up with creative solutions to this legal problem. So remember, derived NFT, that's like something from the old world into the new world, but it's not that easy to move an NFT which is derived by an old painting, for example, to another person, because legally this is not possible. So just saw, okay, first heading is Urheberrechte. So you learn a little bit of German today as well. We're talking about right holders. So usually if you're an author, you have the right to your artwork, for example. So if you're an artist, you have the right to your artwork, so you're the right holder. And if you create an NFT, of course, you're also entitled to all rights of this artwork. And the general principle is that you have maybe the ownership of a painting, and then you have the intellectual property ownership of this painting. And usually if you just sell the painting, you get another owner, but not the intellectual ownership is not automatically moved to this other person, because you're the artist. And of course you like if you also write for example a song, you will keep this right to the song. But what you can do is to grant a license. So you can grant somebody else a license on your artwork, and somebody can then do whatever he wants to do. For example, if you are the inventor of a smiley, yeah, then you can sell the first smiley to somebody, and you can hang it in your office. But you're not allowed to put this smiley on every T-shirt you have and make like a business out of it. So what is the case here? So if you have an NFT, and for example an original NFT, if you just sell the NFT, you're only like the owner of this NFT, but not the right holder of the NFT. But what you can do, you can grant a license, for example in term of use in a purchase contract. But what you also can do, and that's what we tried as well, is to put a license text in the metadata of the NFT, and with that you can grant a license on the NFT. For example, what was quite interesting for us was that like the very famous NFT, like the one from Beeple, which cost like I think 70 million US dollar back in the time. It was just the right to own this NFT, but not the granting of any license. So that's quite interesting that you don't have like a license with that. But what is good for the artists, usually if you're not a famous artist, you will sell your first painting not to a very high price. So what you can put in your metadata and in your smart contract is that if this painting or if this NFT is sold to the next person and it gets worth more and more, then you can also get like a percentage of this purchase price. So that's what you can also program in your NFT, and that's why we have like a good enforceability of resale right remuneration. And that's very good with NFTs, especially with original NFTs, that you get like a percentage of the next purchase price, and maybe one day your painting is or your NFT is worth multi-millions, then you get like a percentage of this next price, and that's not that easy with like the old artwork, which is not only digitalized. But what we also saw is that money laundering and NFT were quite a thing at least in the beginning, and especially like the second case, the money laundering via reinvestment of illegally obtained crypto assets from hacking attacks. So to like hide the money in that sense from these crypto attacks, where you pay like ransom, so a ransom of I know 10 Bitcoin to get your data back. That some people tried to put this cryptocurrency into NFTs, and by reselling these NFTs, you had like money laundering schemes, and that was a thing, for example, or also like money laundering via proprietary or sham transactions. That was also quite a thing. So that's the most important question is here: how can we prevent this? How can NFTs not be abused for money laundering? And there are different possible solutions. There's like know your customer through the NFT platforms, but we found out that at least with some open source, with some platforms which only sell like NFTs, they do not actually meet the requirements of virtual asset service providers. And then there will be the next step with the with the new regulation on market in crypto assets, the market in crypto assets regulation, the MiCA, and there could be a possible solution if these platforms can be virtual asset service providers. But in the actual draft we have at the moment published by the European Commission and also by the Council of the European the Council, we don't have like a big topic. The NFTs is a big topic in there, so we will see how this will work out in the future. So we see that there are a lot of legal topics in terms of NFTs, and these topics are, I have to admit, really interesting.
Oh, thank you. So I will then jump in to a more practical point. So how can you sorry, to share again. So here, it's back. Okay, so you can see. So yes. Here, how do we proceed in that from a technical point of view? First, I mentioned we use IPFS. So this is a decentralized storage. So there are some possibilities how we proceed to the decentralization. First, we can use Piñata. If somebody knows what Piñata is, this is a service provider. Then you can load up your objects, digital pictures and so on, and JSON files, and they will be stored decentralized and shared, and you don't need to run your own node. Or the other case is you have your own IPFS node, like this one you see here. In that case, we have load up here, as you can see, some of our testing objects, and check out how many peers are online at the moment and so on. And sometimes it's, I must say, it's the weak point of the IPFS is that the response is sometimes delayed. So that's why when you put in the browser the link to the IPFS file, sometimes it takes longer time, or sometimes it takes up to 50 minutes. I had my experience. So this is either we can store it decentralized, but the problem is how reliable is it? You know, that's why maybe it is another solution is to store it in a local web server for the objects. But the question is then is centralized stored using a decentralized technology? So I think it depends what somebody wants. For us, from our research side, from learning side, so we choose the decentralized way to decentralize as much as possible to gain the learnings. So here, this is the node that we use, and we load up our files, and there is a link then to the IPFS. And here you can see this one is the IPFS link to the Relive, the digital one that is created by our curator. And this link then is stored in a metadata file, in the JSON data. And we have two. I mean, we have the IPFS file. In that case, we choose both Piñata or IPFS.io. It depends. You can choose both. And of course, we have, usually there should be the web address, but in that case we simulate it only in our web server. That's why we have a local host. There's just for us for testing purposes. And the third step is now we deployed the smart contract and minted the token here. You can see here this is the token, and the token itself, it contains the link to the IPFS JSON file. So that's why here that is a linking. It's a few steps of linking together. So this was our first use case. Then I will go back to our slide to our second case that we had. So after that, we have chosen from us for our treasury side. So this is the NFT as collateral. So this is something that a use case we think about when how can we use the NFT as a digital asset, and what could be the use case for us? So in that case, what we chosen is that in case there is a physical artwork, for example, we have Mona Lisa, for example, yeah? And the Mona Lisa could be used as collateral. Is that possible? If you do it in a physical way, you need to transport the picture or whatever it is to the bank, and then the bank needs a curator and a check, quality check, and so on and so on. And then after that, they will grant the credit to the NFT provider, for example. Yeah. So that means that the settlement way, it's really complicated, because you need, when you use an NFT as a collateral in that case, or a picture as a collateral, that there was a lot of effort for that, because you have the physical transport and so on and so on. And the idea is, what if we have the picture like Mona Lisa or something like artwork is stored in a custodian, a third-party custodian, yeah, and he can prove that the picture or the art really exists, and he created the token to the owner, and the owner can transfer this token to the bank, and the bank can grant a credit until the redemption. Or in the future, when there are virtual currencies, for example, then there could be switching delivery versus payment, and it could be settled within seconds via tokens. And you don't need to bring the picture to the bank, and when in case of redemption, you need to bring it back and so on. You just store the picture, or which costs maybe millions, in a third-party custodian, and it will take care of it. And you have the token which represents the ownership, and then you can transfer the ownership. So we are looking at from that way as a collateral for the settlement process, how we can optimize the settlement process. So and the second case is what we did here is, so again, we choose a partner for our testing, yeah, and a partner, what he did is he has this picture. I mean, it's only an example, yeah. It's I think something in his kitchen, I think, for a colleague. For example, this picture cost $1 million, for example, or euro. In that case, when he brings this picture to the bank, there is a transport cost. It could be damaged, and so on and so on. The settlement process is inefficient. So in that case, this picture can be located in a third-party custodian or a museum, or for example, and it created a token for the which represents the ownership. And then the user can transfer the token to us, or example to a bank, and which can grant a credit for him. And the process will be made much more efficient. And here are also the JSON data. And here you can see there's a simple transfer. Sorry, here you can see here this one, the simple transfer for that. Here, for example, you can transfer the NFT from the person or who needs a credit, and he can transfer it to the bank, and then the ownership is transferred. And the custodian or the museum can see on the blockchain that, okay, who is now the ownership of this picture. And this is much more efficient for that. And of course, we have also a legal part. Yeah? This is more the technical part from our side. And there are also legal challenges. So coming back to the legal part for Armin.
So yeah, coming back to the legal part, of course, that was a quite original idea, and we had to check if this is legally possible. And Johannes talked a lot about this like third-party custodian. And why did we think about this third-party custodian? Why not like take this person who wants to give me like the picture as a collateral and just take this person? And if you remember, we have like this derived NFTs and this original NFTs, and when we talked about this picture, it was like a derived NFT, and that's why we have like the civil law hurdle We call it Faust Pledge. In fact, we call it Faust Fund in Germany and in German. And the problem is that it cannot stay with the owner's hands. So it cannot stay with like the original collateral giver. But we at least have to have, if it's not with us as the one who's giving the credit, we need a third party who is like exceptionally taking care of this picture, and this picture needs to stay with this third party hand. And that's like I would say a contractual solution, and that could be a possible way forward if we're talking about collateral on the one side and NFTs or derived NFTs on the other side. With original NFTs, it would be easier because we have like a digital NFT, and we would just put like this NFT in the wallet of the one who is giving out this credit, and that's a much easier way. But of course, we have like operational challenges. So that was like an important part of our research project was, okay, how does it work technically, and how could it work on a legal basis? And there was like the creative solution that you just take a museum or just take a gallery. And I think already galleries think about like being like the custodian of artwork, and then using this as a possible collateral way forward. But remember, the most important thing is you as an owner, you cannot keep the picture, you cannot keep the artwork. You have to give it to somebody else, even if it's not the one who gives out the credit. But that's how you get like artwork more movable, and that would be a possible way forward in that sense for artwork and make it more movable. But on the other side, we as we already said, we started the project in February last year, and there was a big hype around NFTs, and we talked about collateral possible way forward. But then, of course, NFTs in that sense were not that stable, as we found out when we moved on with our project. So coming to the next slide and challenges, we talk about let's say the NFT bubble, because when we started with our project in 2020, nobody talked about NFTs, and then in 2021 a lot of people talked about NFTs, and from 2020 to 21 we had an increase in 21,000 in comparison to 2020 in transactions, volume of transactions with NFTs. So usually, how does a bubble work? You have, for example, for the NFTs, the prices the prices would decrease drastically, the volume of transaction drops massively, the media interest declines. And when we started in 2022, we had like transactions and big prices in the NFT world. And now we ask ourselves, did the bubble burst? And we can say, yeah, apparently, yeah, we had maybe here a bubble because when we saw OpenSea, we had like a decrease from May 2022 to August 2022 by 99%. So we had a volume of transactions in May 2022 of 2.7 billions. And then the volume of transactions decreased to 9.3 millions. And that was quite a bubble we had here. And the question was, why did this bubble burst? So cryptocurrencies have generally lost value, and the lost value was with NFTs was even higher. And the values rose massively in the beginning, and then in a very short time, and then they decreased in that sense as fast as they increased, they decreased. But with every bubble or with every like hype, you have something for the future. And in that sense, NFTs are quite interesting still in in that sense. If we talk about NFTs in the digital world, we talked about original NFTs, and there could be a future with the metaverse, and we also had a look on this side. So there can be, for example, social NFTs where artists develop NFTs for the fan base, or utility NFTs where you have like exclusive digital content for the NFT owners, for example, like to go to a concert in the digital world. So there could be way forwards. For example, we had another hype where in the metaverse there were the possibility of owning like property or houses, and then the prices for these houses or this bases they increased and suddenly they decreased again. So we have like a development, and what we find interesting as researchers from the Austrian National Bank, so not from Austrian National Bank side, but as a research point, is to like have a look at this development of NFTs without saying if it's good or not good, but just saying, okay, we have a look at this new technology, and we in that sense know what this technology is about from a technical part or from a technical side, and also from a legal side. And I think in the end of our presentation, we can have a look how NFTs could look in the metaverse.
So thank you. So, and I will jump into our metaverse space. And so jump to. So can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
We can still see the slide.
Yes.
Still a slide. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have to.
So maybe I just when Johannes is trying to do it technically. So from metaverse side, I think there are different metaverses. We found out it's just not only one metaverse of like a big company, but there are different metaverses, and we chose like one metaverse where we put like, or we set up like a gallery. And do you see like something?
Can you see the gallery?
No, maybe stop sharing and share again. Yeah.
Or just stop sharing the Johannes and Armin screen.
Yeah,
we can see the
and
Johannes
I
screen.
shared now with the other one.
Yeah, and Johannes and Armin is still sharing. Maybe we can also.
Okay, then I will stop
off.
that. Just a minute. Okay, thank you. So, I will try again.
No.
Now it's better.
Now it's better.
Now you can see it.
Yes.
So we created a very simple gallery for us for when there is a delay. Sorry for that. It's quite very simple. We connected our test NFTs on a testnet, and here's the relief and the collateral. We are still looking at it, what could be the use cases for us. Yeah. So maybe from our treasury side, I think we do not really see a use case for that, but could be another department. So that's why we created that, just to make exchange with other department in-house, also with other central banks, and try to extend. Could be there use cases for using that, because from our point of view, at the moment, from the treasury side, I mean, it could be interesting digital assets in the future, but at the moment, the metaverse is something more, from my personal point of view, is more in the gaming industry. But for real-time use case, I mean, this is something that we are still looking at.
So we just had a look at different digital assets like NFTs or metaverse, and I think for us as a long living institutions, more than 200 years old, it's quite interesting to have like the possibility of on the research side to have an insight on like NFTs and metaverse, even if at the moment we don't have like a use case for us as Austrian National Bank. But I think we learned a lot in our project, and that's what for us as a team, not only us but also like our colleagues, that was a interesting insight, and that's what we learned, and that's what we also will have a look into it in the future.
Just one important thing: all thing you see is only for research purpose, only testing purpose. Yeah? We are not going in production or something like that. It's all in our innovation lab that we want to learn from that. So that's everything you see here is really for research and testing. That's all.
Thank you so much. And for the audience that doesn't see the video, we are in a virtual 3D room currently, where the art pieces of this presentation are hanging on the walls. There's a rainbow bench for digital visitors to sit on. And I think it's a way to showcase the art, to display the art. And it's done by the National Bank of Austria. So I think it's really great to see the public space having this innovation lab that you both of you work at. And I think your research opens up a lot of creativity, right? Because you research the legal background of, I think it's also called digital twins, right? If you have the digital ownership of a physical art piece. And I was just like taking notes, and I thought about bringing together like the different interests of, like, for example, artists that obviously want to have their art be purchased and making a living out of their art, and the public obviously being interested in the art, and the museums actually want to showcase art pieces from artists to the public, and owners or like traders actually want to invest into art as an investment good on a secondary market. And I think your research could be a great ground for making this happen, where like people can actually see art that can also be traded, and where the museums act as I think you called it custodian. So yeah, I think it opens a lot of space for breakthrough innovation. So I find it very, very interesting what you presented here.
Thank you.
Thank you. But we are also still ongoing, looking deeper and what could be more use cases and so on. So Armin is our perfect legal counselor, so I trust him 100%. So for us, so it's important the interdisciplinary working as a team, and this worked really perfectly. So within the innovation lab, and we are trying to work as smooth as possible. So that's why we created the innovation lab, that we really work focused on our results. And failure is also possible, because we are trying and learn what are the key learnings. And in case of failure, there's also no problem. But still, we still have a learning zone from that.
Yeah. So maybe before we open the question round to the audience, the audience that I know also consists of young researchers. Maybe this could be a career option if you want to be like very creative, very innovative, have room to fail, and like really explore the frontier of innovation. Maybe work at a national bank or the National Bank of Austria. I mean, that's great, right?
Yeah, maybe it's not the first idea of going to a national bank if you like want to work also at the innovation lab. So that's what we are quite happy about, that we have like in the Austrian National Bank the possibility of like getting together our like IT department, our programmers on the one side, and on the other side different persons with different views and different professions to like work together on new projects, new research. And I think that's what we are also like proud of the Austrian National Bank.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Tamara, yes.
Yeah, super cool. Thank you so much, for such an interesting presentation. Perhaps you can start more about the technology. So we know that one of the great difficulties is making decisions while much of the technology is still developing. And we know that the central banks must decide where to acquire technology if they do not build it in-house. And for this specific project, I think you mentioned, Johannes, that you are using a local blockchain and some kinds of these technologies. So maybe you can comment on how this process of choosing this technology happened.
How we choose that? So we are looking which are the main blockchains in the market. So that's why I think it's easy. Everybody knows Ethereum, Polygon, because of the gas fees is cheaper. But from our point of view, we are technological agnostic. So that's why we choose Ethereum, because when the first time I hear about NFTs few years ago, that was on Ethereum. So that's why we choose that. But we are also looking at Polygon Net and other networks. So from our research point of view, so we are open of the technology. We do not focus on one, but we are quite open. And of course, the mainstream blockchain is definitely makes more sense to follow this instead of following blockchains that have 2 nodes or something like that. So that's why this is quite a simple process for us choosing it.
Nice, thank you. Go ahead, Valentin.
A small question regarding the legal facts of ownership. I was imagining that a museum is the custodian for an art piece, and the art piece hangs in a showroom, because obviously I want to imagine art actually being publicly available and not in some basement. But there are other NFT contracts, and you can also fractionalize an NFT. And I was imagining, so the NFT of this art piece has, let's say, 100 fractions, and people start to trade these fractions, and then one person has 51 fractions. So it has 51% of the ownership of this art piece. So would this person then be able to tell the museum to bring the art to his or her house, or like collect the art, or like what would the legal background be in this case?
So I'm always talking about Austrian law because that's where our research lies. So if you talk like about making 100 pieces of an artwork, we are more talking about like tokenizing an artwork. It's not there's also like the possibility of and we saw this also in the past year, that you have like if you're making NFTs out of one artwork and then just selling the NFTs without any property rights to the artwork. So just to be clear, you're tokenizing like the artwork, and in that sense, if you have like 51%, we in Austria have like the possibility of Miteigentum. So use the German terms, because in that sense they are not always English terms. And if you have like a Miteigentum on something, it's not that easy to say, okay, I have 51. It's not like it's not like that. You have to have like all the other people who have a fraction of it have to agree that you now will be the one who puts it into your house. What you could do from a creative point of view is that you have like this art piece with a high price, for example, you put it in a limited, so that you put it in this limited, and then you only have like parts of this limited. And if you have 51%, you say, okay, I, as the majority owner of this limited, so of this GmbH, we call it, the Gesellschaft mit beschränkter Haftung. Now I will do this and that with my limited, and that's another possibility you could think about. But if you're talking about like this Miteigentum, then it's not that easy to like move this picture to another place.
Interesting, thanks. But if the owner would have 100%, he or she could easily say, "Hey, I want the actual art piece in my house now."
Yes, of course. So
Yeah.
so if you have like 100, you're the owner, and if you're an owner, you can do with your property whatever you like. Usually, of course, if we're talking about artwork, there is public interest in keeping this artwork. So you should not like destroy it because, for example, there's something on it with public interest. You cannot like move away the Mona Lisa from the Louvre. Maybe there's like a public interest in that, even if you're like the 100% owner. But if you have 100% ownership on something, you can do with it whatever you want. You can also use it as collateral. But if you use it as collateral, usually you have to give these pictures to somebody else who is then the collateral owner, because we talk about this, we call it like publicity. So the publicity, not in like a media sense, but the publicity of ownership. So everybody has to see that you're really the owner of the picture. So that's what we think about collateral, and in that sense where this law comes from, that you cannot like just leave it with you and the picture and just give somebody a collateral on that picture, because you as the owner could do with it whatever you want.
Thanks. Do we have more questions from the audience?
Yes, we have one here. So do you expect to test this environment at some point with the collaboration of people? I think someone wants to buy your NFTs or collaborate in this environment.
So from research side, I think collaboration is really interesting. But as we said, for us at the moment, there's no like business collaboration in our NFT project with anybody else. I think that's just like, let's say, just research, and I think collaboration on research side, that's in fact very interesting. But on business side, not for now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we are almost at the end of our episode. Thank you so much, Johannes and Armin, for the presentation and for your time. I ask you to giving your closing remarks and let our audience know where I can find you.
So from our side, I think it was very nice to be part today of the Techie Tuesday, and thank you for the invitation. And yeah, you can find us at the Austrian National Bank, and we're happy to talk about our project or our future projects as well in our innovation lab. And yes, I think the good thing is that we stay interested in technology from legal side, but and also from technical side.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's why we are keep on working on that and doing the research, because we have the innovation lab. That's why we can interdisciplinary internally working together. And yes, thank you also for the invitation. And yeah, in case of questions, you can contact us both anytime.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for hosting, Tamara. Yeah. Any last words?
Yeah, we see you at the next episode of the DEA Tech Tuesday. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. Ciao.
Bye.